Hey everyone, this is Kirsty from KBeth Bookish, and today I am kickstarting my Alphabetti Bookghetti series. Okay, what is Alphabetti Bookghetti, you ask? Well, you've all heard, I hope, of Alphabetti spaghetti, which is spaghetti in tomato sauce that is in the shape of the alphabet and has little letters. Well, welcome to Alphabetti Bookghetti, where each week or every couple of weeks I will be doing a book review and the book title will be a letter of the alphabet. And kickstarting with the letter A, obviously, and then next week will be B, and then C, and so forth. And then once I get to Z, I will go back to A. And the plan and the hope is that I can do this as like a yearly series. And so I think I worked out that if I do one book every 2 weeks, I can get through the alphabet. If I start the first week of January every year, I can do the final one on the last week of December. So that is kind of what I'm going to plan, and so there might be a few of these where I release them quite close together to try and catch up, because this was something that I had planned back in December, and I had like a big spreadsheet full of all my ideas and I'd planned everything out for the year, but then obviously things went a little bit tits up, and so everything's now been delayed by like 2-3 months. But I was deciding with this, like, whether it would just be books that I've read this year or books that I read last year, and I decided that what I'm going to do is use this as a platform to promote some of the books that I've really loved and some of the authors that I love. And I'm going to kickstart this entire series with the letter A, with Alice by Christina Henry. If you've been on this channel for longer than a hot minute, you will know that I absolutely love this book and this series. I do have a physical book, but it is currently in storage, so I will just show you the cover up here. I was introduced to this series back in 2020, I believe. Someone said, I was talking about that I enjoyed dark retellings, and someone was like, hey, check this book out. And I did. I'd never heard of Christina Henry before. It was the first Alice in Wonderland, like, proper retelling I'd read, because I was inspired by when I watched Alice, the film, the Tim Burton films. I was really inspired, and I was like, does anyone know if there are any really good Alice retellings? And that's what then led me to Alice by Christina Henry. And first of all, the setting of this book, it starts in a mental asylum. Alice, when she was a child, her and her friend went to a tea party, and her friend was never seen again, and when Alice was discovered shortly after, she was bleeding, she was battered, she had been abused, and she had things like blood between her legs and things like that, and she was slightly crazy from the experience. And her family, rather than, help her and support her, they decided it would be easier to just put her in an asylum and let the doctors deal with her and look after her. While in this asylum, she had a next door neighbour who is known as Hatcher, and he has been put in the asylum after the murder of his wife and child. He was then thrown into the asylum because he took his hatchet, which is a type of axe, and basically went through the streets of old London and annihilated everyone that was to do with that murder. So these two have spent, I think it's about 10 years that they've been together in this asylum, in their respective rooms, getting to know each other and trusting each other. And then this being that I can't remember the name of. Oh my god, I should remember the name of. But this magical being basically breaks out of a prison and has decided that he needs to collect magic and the magicians to take over the world, kind of thing. And the story begins with Alice and Hatcher being chased down by this creature because Hatcher can sense him. He has like these psychic abilities, and Alice discovers that maybe she's not just a normal girl. But while doing this, they have to kind of like trust each other and escape. They've got to try and stop this malevolent force, but at the same time they've also got people that want to come after both of them. So for Hatcher, he's got unresolved conflict with the walrus. Alice has got resolved issues with the rabbit and things like that. And it's just a story of these two kind of escaping, gaining control of their lives, but also trying to save the world. And it was fantastically done. It's a very dark, very adult story. And what I like so much about how Christina Henry approaches this book is you've got these characters that we know from the books that maybe are a little bit cynical, a little bit dark, but not too bad, because obviously in a lot of the media that we get portrayed, they are more cartoonish, but in this they are dark. So you've got, and the characters are more, they're people. So the walrus, obviously in the books and in the shows and media, the walrus is actually a walrus. Whereas in this, he is a man who is like a massive giant, like almost inhumanely big, who can like crush a man's skull with one hand without really thinking about it. The caterpillar is a guy who collects precious items, including, like, he's got a mermaid that he's captured, and there's another woman whose wings he's sewn shut so she can't fly away. And then you got like the Cheshire cat is actually a man who's the Cheshire, and he grins and stuff. And the rabbit is the guy that kind of controls everyone. He's like the ringleader of everybody. He controls all the different gangs. He says what goes on. And he's also a child human trafficker. And he's the one that tried to take control of Alice. And I'm not going to give away things that have happened with him and Alice and what does happen. But obviously they're now trying to navigate all of these different people, and they're trying to stop the world from ending while trying to also be like, right, well, we need revenge for this, and this person has found out that we're free, so now wants to come after us. I thought the book portrayed things like PTSD and trauma really, really well. Like Alice, you feel that kind of fear that she's going through, but she also goes through this amazing arc of like standing up and realizing that she is stronger than she's been led to believe. And even though both her and Hatcher are fundamentally broken, the way they support each other, the way that they like love each other, and the way that they guide each other through the story is amazing. Like Hatcher is Alice's strength when she needs him to be, but also Alice is Hatcher's strength when he needs her to be. And it's like they've built such a strong connection in this asylum that nothing's going to break it. And it's just so refreshing that this isn't a story where something has to come into, whether there's a romance or a really strong friendship. There's always like something that like causes that friendship to get a bit of friction and break apart even for a little while. But there's none of that in this. They remain a solid unit throughout the book. And I thought it was fantastically done. This is a book about vengeance. It's a book about reclaiming yourself. It's a book about, love and support and strength. And I think it balances all those elements, but it still manages to maintain that whimsy of Alice in Wonderland. And you feel like you're being transported to another world. And like I said, it is dark, it is gruesome and gritty, but Christina Henry's writing is just so good, and the interactions between the characters are so good. It kept me hooked from literally the first page. It was definitely a 5-star. I've read it twice now, and both times could not put it down. Absolutely loved every single moment of it, and it's a book that I will recommend to anyone, anytime. Do it, read it. It should be a must read, especially if you like fairy tale retellings, dark retellings, Alice in Wonderland, sort of slightly more thriller. It's just so good, so good. So that is my review on Alice by Christina Henry, and Let me know in the comments if you have read this, or maybe if what I've said has inspired you to pick it up. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought about it and what you enjoyed about the book. But obviously, with all things, when I'm talking about books, please keep the comments spoiler free, as we don't know, someone might read through the comments and we don't really want to spoil somebody else's viewing pleasure. So let me know what you loved about this book, or even if you didn't like the book, what was it that put you off? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. And as I said, I will be doing a book for every letter of the alphabet, as long as I have read a book with that letter of the alphabet, because I think by the time we get to the end of the alphabet, it's going to be very difficult. So we shall see. But until next time, I hope you're good, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.